One of the conversations I had with a friend of mine last night was, would this have helped if they had done this when we first came home from Vietnam? And we both thought that it would have been very, very powerful if something like this had happened when we first came home. Very powerful. Very healing for my family. I had a very large contingent of my family at the airport to meet me, and it was very healing for them. My brother came all the way up from Florida, so that was another element that I'd never expected along the way, was how important it was for my family to heal.
I'm Kyle. Nice to meet you.
Welcome. Good. Yeah, come on in.
You're big dude. How's it going? Nice to meet you.
Oh, you did get him out of bed.
You did, yeah.
Or in bed?
Got this for you.
Wow. What is this?
It is something they gave us there. It's the Honor Flight, just kind of a visual journey, cool scrapbook basically that they gave us there. That I think they were trying to save money on shipping, so they had this hand delivered.
That's what they hired you.
I think that's what they had me for. So.
This is cool. I'm not supposed to carry it.
Everybody have a great day.
Say hi to the camera.
Okay. Bye. Love you. Have a good trip. Have fun.
This is kind of strange because you think in your mind, I try to think back to the day that I left to go to Vietnam. And it's something like this. And it's hard for me to remember that, except that we were in our dress uniforms to leave, to go to the airport.
Oh, you were in your dress uniforms?
Yeah, to report to the airport. I can't remember where we changed then. Because we weren't in fatigues, but we were in fatigues when we got to Vietnam. Oh, it must have been in Oakland that they transferred us to the Army, the green fatigue, jungle fatigues.
Yeah.
From Travis to Juneau, Alaska, to Okinawa, I think it was, and then to Ben Hoa, South Vietnam.
A little bit of a temperature change. Going to Alaska over there.
A lot more than the temperature we're worried about.
Yeah.
Well, and the furthest I had been from home, I had been up to Duluth Superior once, but in general, the furthest I'd been from home was to the Illinois border with my dad to buy margarine. Because it was illegal to sell margarine in a dairy state at the time. But on the way home from Vietnam, I think I got drunk and passed out either 3 times or at least twice. I know that we all got on the plane with duffel bags and we could carry booze with us.
Yeah.
I had 2 bottles of booze and we just got drunk, passed out, got drunk again. Because I think it was an 18-hour flight or something.
Oh no.
I'll never forget going to, I left from Ben Hoa, South Vietnam, but we had to go to Long Ben, which was only a mile or 2 away, and that's where you did all the processing out, and then they took you over to Ben Hoa to the airfield. Ben Hoa it was like a figure 8. It had the Air Force Base, and then the other side was the 1st Caval's rear area, the 1st Cavalry Division's rear area. So they took us to the airport. And this was a time when there were really heavy drug problems in Vietnam. I mean, you could buy a vial of pure heroin on the street for $5. And it was just this tiny little vial. So drugs and alcohol were big problems there. So we had to pass a urine test before you could get on the plane. And if you had any drugs in your system, if you failed the urine test, you had to go to a detox center in Vietnam before you could be sent home. And then you'd be sent home to a VA hospital. We'd have to go through drug therapy and all of that. It was really a scary process. It's surprising when you're on the bus in Vietnam going from one base to the other. This is the first time that we don't have weapons. We've already taken our weapons. So we're on these buses that have the heavy grills, fencing on the windows. And all of that, but you still feel kind of naked without your weapon.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget pulling into the air base at Ben Hoa, and it had a very just a small not a Quonset, but just a small shack for the whatever you call the terminal, the airport terminal. And there were 2 doors, one for guys leaving and one for guys coming in. And I never forget pulling up to that, and it was early morning, but still dark out, a little bit like it is right now. But right over the top of the terminal building, the small terminal building, I could just see the tail of the airplane, and it had the lights on, and it had the big blue and red AA of American Airlines. I'll never forget that. And I knew that was what we called the Freedom Birds. And I couldn't see the airplane, but I could just see in the darkness, like you would see here, but no street lights, just the American Airlines tail sticking up there. We actually sat on the plane, and everybody had their face plastered to the windows, watching the coast of Vietnam go by. Nobody made a sound until you couldn't see the coast of Vietnam anymore. All you could see was the South China Sea. Then we knew the war was over. At least.
I'll be a son of a...
Sure. Mine is... Okay. Okay. Mine is...
Unbelievable.
Wouldn't have missed it for the world. Jacket and everything, huh?
If anybody deserves to be here, it's this man.
So that was just my way I could do it without hurting somebody's feelings. But this would have been my first choice.
Let's go ahead and take that on the table.
Well, I wouldn't have missed it for the world, and we'll be here when you get back.
Oh, so many different things. Gratitude, I think, for me was the most important thing. Thank you for coming out and doing this, that you would actually take time to all of these different people to come out here and say thank you to us. That was really the first thing, was thank you to them for doing this. And I wanted to leave an impression of something powerful for them, that somebody, an American warrior or soldier or veteran actually shook their hand. And I think when I was a young child, if somebody had done that for me, I would have remembered this. And I wanted it to be a good event for them. When we got to Washington, D.C., I did not expect the rows and rows of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and just civilians, people off the street who just wanted to be there to thank us as veterans for our service. So very unexpected. The organization, a number of volunteers in the honor flight system at the airports along the way was unbelievable. How many people volunteered, how well organized it was, and how well we were taken care of and appreciated.
Show the weapon. That's going to be it. Thank you.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got a picture?
I got 3 just in case your eyes
Thank you.
Okay, here's the true story. When we left Vietnam to come home, the stewardess on the plane would not have gotten by as easily as they did today. I mean, there would have been a lot more kidding around with them. We hadn't seen women in a year, for the most part. But they would have gotten a lot more. We would have been regular 20-year-old guys kidding around with 20-year-old girls. Thank you, man. It did stuff. That is remarkable. Who put that all together? Holy cow.
People want to say thank you.
Holy cow. That's moving. That's impressive.
set. Up. Order. Up.
I've been to Washington, D.C. many times. The first time I could not even approach it. I could see it from the distance, but I could see all of the names on it, and it was just too overwhelming because of the impression that the war left on me. It was hard for me to accept that all of these young soldiers had died for something that I didn't really believe in that much. So I had difficulty going up there. And I was just overwhelmed because I knew that the vast majority of these were probably soldiers under the age of 25. And that's just heartbreaking, shattering for me. Until a friend of mine told me months later, when I explained it to him that I couldn't approach the wall, he said, Mike, this isn't about you. It's about honoring the soldiers whose names are on that wall. And ever since then, I've had a different sense of respect for the wall, to honor these guys who had the same dreams and desires that I did to continue living, who had the will to live and didn't want to die. So what they actually gave up is extraordinarily important for me now to remember, and for other people to remember, because I knew how badly I wanted to come home from that war. And that's what they gave up. They gave up all their dreams, all their desires, all their joys, all their loves. Everything else was left, except for their name on that wall.
Look at how it's just overwhelming. Look at that. To know that these are these young guys. Most of these guys were under 23 years of age. 25.
But you also look at,
Well, a friend of mine told me, when I said I couldn't approach the wall because it was so difficult to see all the names and be so overwhelmed, he said it's not about you, it's about honoring the names that are on there. And that's what makes it able for me to come down to look down this wall and to see all those names, and to know that the majority of them are under 25 years of age and died somehow in violent, barbaric combat at an age when I was there 20, and I remember just how desperately you wanted to go home, how desperately you wanted to live, you wanted more life. And that's what I've learned to respect in these guys. It's what they didn't get. It's not coming home. It's what they gave up, whether you believed in the war or not. It's what they gave up that we treasured so much, that we all fought for, and that was simply just to stay alive. Hard to look at all those names. It's got to be tough for mothers. I was especially impressed by my family because there were so many there. I don't know exactly how many. All of my brothers and sisters were there, but 3, I think. And I come from a family of 10, so I had a large contingent, plus other friends of the family, and Diane's children were there. I have to give a shout out to Patty Stakota. She was there, our old representative from Washington County, with her granddaughter. So I was just very, very moved, but I was very excited to give my family the opportunity to heal too. I understood for the first time how important this was for the entire family, and not just Mike Orban. So that was impressive. The other people, I tried to shake as many hands and thank as many people along the way, especially the younger people, the younger kids who were there with Welcome Home Heroes and all of that. I wanted to make sure that I was thanking them as much for coming out.
Mail than I could ever have expected. A lot of them from Jack Frickman's classmates, where he goes to school over in Richfield. Kurt Slinger. A lot of them. It'll take me a while to read them all, but I certainly enjoy getting them. How do you top that? A lot of great art in here.
Hope you had a great day.
You gonna catch up with them?
Nobody's sunburned. Welcome home, sir.
So nice to meet you, sir. You too, sir. If we can do anything to help with that, absolutely. Thank you so much. God bless.
Welcome back. Didn't I know you in Saigon?
There's a Jew.
Welcome home, brother. Welcome home, Bob.
Welcome home, sir.
Welcome home. What?
Hi there, Amy.
As far as the honor flight, if you're not willing to go because you don't think you deserve it, or you don't want to be involved in the memories of the war, I would honestly say to think about your family, because it was only a couple of weeks ago that my sister Mary came up to me and said, your family needs to heal too. I never thought about that in all these years, because it was always about me. I was the veteran, I had suffered, I was isolated, me. Never thought how important this was to my family until I saw Saturday, just the extraordinary power of healing that my family was involved in.
Welcome home, brother.
Thank you guys so much.
deal. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all your time. Where you met him? Huh? Where you met him? Pocket. I don't want it. I just want to make him feel better. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't mind. I did.
Is this Sonia Jan?
No, I didn't. Yeah, that is cool. I was just telling a woman that I'm going to re-enlist just so I can go through this all again. Wow.
That was something else.
Huh?
That was something else.
Oh. That was something else. That was something else.
Welcome home, sir.
Thank you, sir.